What's going on, guys? My name is Tefty Teft from PlanetDestiny, and we got the Black Link here, and we got Dry Bones from Crucible Radio. We're going to talk quickly about the patch notes that dropped today that are our beloved Titans. They're getting changed around.
Oh boy.
Big stuff, right?
Big stuff.
There's going to be some salt. There's going to be some happiness.
Should we just break right into it?
We're Titans. I mean, we're the front lines. That's all we do.
That's
we kick
true.
down doors and we bust in there with Fabian strategy, right?
With the Fabian strategy. Actually,
with the new Fabian strategy, hopefully.
You're right.
Yeah.
The new one. That is coming.
That rate of fire change.
Mm-hmm. Actually, before I jump into the Titan patch notes, are you guys main Titans at all?
Main would be strong, but I really love the striker, and
Nice.
I didn't give it enough credit in the year one, and then I started watching players like AE Gabriel, and I was like, well, okay, I'm on the wrong thing right now. So I've definitely tried to put some serious time into my Titan.
Okay, awesome.
I started out as a Warlock main. I'm still a Warlock main. I love my Warlocks. But I got turned on to Titans by my buddy early on in year one. And, in year one, it was just panic. Fist of panic everywhere. But I really fell in love with the Defender Titan. And
nice.
Crucible, PvE, PvP, that's generally what I run.
Really?
I love me some Defenders.
Awesome. Okay.
I will admit, though, as a Crucible player, I've rarely touched the Defender, and not at all in year two. So that's where I'm definitely lacking.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think I've popped a bubble. Count them on both hands, the number of times in the Crucible this year. Yeah. For me, I main a Hunter, and I've gotten more used to the Warlock, and I've dabbled with the Sunbreaker because why wouldn't you, right? So the Titan patch notes. First off, let's talk about melees, or actually melees across the board for all three subclasses. The range is getting extended by 12.5%.
They said it's pushing it from, 4 meters to 4.5, which is a little bit over what Hunters get, if I'm correct about that.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's less than what Warlocks have, but it's a little bit more than what Hunters generally have, except, for the obvious thrust that you get from Blink Strike and stuff like that. Maybe I'm incorrect about that. That's I want to say that's where the numbers were, so I'm happy with that. That's a nice happy medium for me.
I think it's just so appreciated from a logic standpoint, because we have these concepts of what Titans are supposed to be, which is someone who gets up close and personal, and now you actually can, because the logic behind some sort of physical knock down the door Titan, but also has the shortest melee range, it just never made sense. And it just feels more right now, so I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yep, absolutely. The number of times that I have T-Rex'd armed somebody and then died in the Crucible, it's put a bad taste in my mouth.
It's a feeling of helplessness too, because you get in close, maybe you've got a shotgun, and they blink away or they jump over you, and it's like, oh, it's melee time, and you're just sitting there swinging helplessly in the air.
Yeah,
and the animation just makes you feel foolish. Let's be
absolutely.
honest. That little arm, doing a little punch.
No kidding.
Yep. Now the Sunstrike for the Sunbreaker, the dot time is getting decreased from 6.5 seconds to 5.5 seconds. I don't have a lot of experience with this, so I don't know if you guys have experience with the Sunstrike spec in there.
Well, it became the only melee to one shot on certain armor builds, which was kind of, it didn't happen frequently because we have the T-Rex arms, as we've said, but if you did land a shot and you get a kill from that seemed where the balance kind of comes into question. So it makes sense that it's getting taken down just a little bit.
I mean, that was, I would agree, that was really the only kind of build that I would see that on. Just every once in a while, every once in a blue moon, I would notice I get killed by burn damage from a melee. And it's like, oh, that's a thing that happened.
That's fun.
From a Sunbreaker. But I really didn't see it too much out in the wild, and I know I certainly didn't use it very often.
Okay, interesting, yeah. Okay, so now the super. This is big right here. Hammer of Soul, reduce damage resistance during super by negative 9.09%.
Yeah, personally, as a guy, who's a Warlock main, I go into Crucible, I pop my Stormcaller, and immediately get destroyed after popping 5 or 6 ticks of damage into a Sunbreaker. This was the big change that I was looking for. It was really the only thing I wanted. I was fine with everything else but the armor, and I think it equals out to taking them down from like a 55% armor boost to a 50% armor boost, which is just enough to get them killed with those medium to high impact sniper rifle headshots. There shouldn't really be any super in the game that survives a hit from an LDR style sniper rifle, in my opinion.
it's crushing. It really breaks your spirit. And so that was the one change I just was like, please. So I'm incredibly happy to see this as a sniper myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think anybody who has dealt with Hammer of Soul from the receiving side completely agrees that the armor buff mixed in with Cauterize is just crazy. So this is good. I just don't know how much -9% is actually going to equate to. So it seems like let's say a 1,000-yard stare would be able to crit shot or one hit crit the Sunbreaker. I'm assuming, right?
I think it's going to push down the Sunbreakers to about the level of armor that Blade Dancers have when they're running full arc blade. So definitely can be one-shotted.
The other thing that they're doing also is slow hammer travel speed by -1.32%. So this is big as well, because one of the problems that, in addition to Cauterize, get your health back, and also being a tank, you can also just travel ridiculously fast around the map. This will alleviate that a little bit, not a lot, right? But a little bit, enough to hopefully prevent that feeling like you just got a Slayer and you went across the map with your hammer.
I like this adjustment too, because I was actually just last night thinking, you know what, I'm going to try Blink and see if I can't play some mind games with these hammers. So I switched to Blade Dance, and even blinking was not fast enough to just escape their rampages, and that kind of drove me crazy, where I was like, this is supposed to be fast. I'm supposed to be able to escape things. So another strong, good one.
Yep.
It's definitely a change that I wasn't expecting, but it's one that I like, because again, as a Warlock, when I hear that pink, I drop to my knees and start saying my prayers. But really, the only thing that I can do is either lead them away from my team, and then when they finally catch up to me, because let's be honest, it's a Titan, they can skate, they're going to catch up to you. Generally, I would just try to get as high above them as I could, because it's a lot harder to land those hammers in the air. But sometimes they just travel a little bit too fast for you to really get out of a blast zone. So I think it's going to be a pretty good change. It doesn't look like they're lowering the travel speed by too much.
And then it goes into the passives. It says Forge Master, reduce splash damage, detonation radius multiplier by -20%. So they're taking down a whole fifth of the splash damage. What do you guys think about that?
I'm trying to think of examples now where I could clearly see a hammer land near me and take me out, and for me to have a reaction like, oh, well, I was nowhere near that hammer, but I can't really think of anything. Most of the time when hammers are landed, they land pretty close to me, so I don't really know exactly how much the splash damage is really going to affect the super as a whole.
Yeah, from a defensive side, I kind of feel the same way, where I probably was close enough all those times, but I think from a Titan side, you're going to have to aim for the first time, because, I mean, to be completely honest, especially on tighter, small maps like 618 or something like that, enter room and throw at walls, and you're gonna hit someone. So it kind of does need a tweak. At least you have to look, aim, consider how many hammers you're about to throw. Especially with everything else added in, you really gotta pace yourself a little bit more.
Yeah,
it's interesting. 618 is a good example of how you don't really pay attention to that stuff. But the current Trials map is a great example of how you do pay attention to the splash damage, and how sometimes you think something's going to hit and it actually doesn't.
Yeah,
absolutely. For the amount of area that's spread, because it's Widow's Court this week for Trials, and there's been, like, I was running my Titan, and obviously I was a Sunbreaker, and there was a couple times where I was like, oh, I thought that would have killed him, but it was enough distance from the detonation area that it just maybe took their shield down. I thought that was interesting. Next we have Flame Seeker, turn down hammer tracking bonus by -25%. I think this goes also with what you're saying, right? With there being a little bit more skill involved, or a little bit more consideration when throwing the
hand
hammers.
in hand. It's like you gotta really pick your tosses, and because I know from experience, I can throw a hammer and just turn away and just know that it's gonna hit him, and now you're gonna have to follow your shot and make sure you didn't miss the first time. Just it makes you use it as a skill and not just as a quick 4 kills.
Yeah, so no more truth hammers, basically.
Yes.
But really, I wonder how many competitive Sunbreakers were actually using Flameseeker, because most people were using, what is it? I know when I was running Sunbreaker, I rarely ever used Flameseeker, so I wonder how much of a difference it's going to be. But definitely, anything that adds another element of skill to the weapon rather than just tap R1, tap R1, tap R1, tap R1, seventh column. I'm okay with that.
It's interesting. For me, I usually run Flameseeker just because of the tracking. So this will definitely be interesting. I'm wondering if it's going to still be the desired perk. And also, there's another addition to the to what it's doing. It says remove the +1 recovery and +1 agility stat bonuses. So apparently, so that's going to be a nerf right there as well. For the Flameseeker. What do you guys think? Do you think you're going to opt for Explosive Pyre or Fleet Fire instead?
I think I'm going to have to try them, because now you can't just automatically look at that boost to recovery and agility and go, well, clearly this is the one. Because I know that's what I did, and I guarantee that other players have done that, where you see those little green bars go up and you think, why would I ever read the descriptions for the other ones here? So...
Yeah, I mean, when you combine it with Forge Master, throw more hammers and the bigger explosions with that Flameseeker, just like, yeah. But, okay, so they're dropping the recovery and agility and turning down the tracking bonus. Now, with Fleet Fire, they are adding +1 agility to the stat. So, essentially, they're swapping the agility from Flameseeker to Fleet Fire on that.
Good. It seems like it was the entire point of Fleet Fire, so... Maybe I won't have to jump off of that build anymore. Yep. See, it all worked out in the end.
Yep. I think you might have been training yourself for better hammer aim anyways. So
I was prepared. I was working myself into it.
That's great.
That's my excuse. Thank you, Tefty.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay, so next we got Firekeeper. Added +1 recovery stat. Firekeeper is the very last node that you unlock in the subclass. In case you don't know, while standing in a sunspot, you gain an overshield, and Hammer of Soul lasts longer. Cauterize also got a nerf. Added cooldown, 0 seconds to 3 seconds. So literally, there's a 3-second cooldown between kills from when Cauterize will proc. So this is going to be, for me personally, this is going to be a coin toss of whether or not I want a longer Hammer of Soul with the added recovery, or stick with Cauterize. What do you guys think?
You know, me and my buddy Swain from Crucible Radio, we play Trials together almost every weekend, and we were talking about this build where we would use Firekeeper, and he wanted to try it out in a 3v3 setup where you can afford to save your hammers a few times. It ended up being just kind of not worth it just because of the strength of Cauterize. But now that you've got that stat boost plus the cooldown on Cauterize, it might make sense for the 3v3 playlists. Maybe you still want to keep Cauterize for the 6s, but if you can plant a sunspot and just hang out for a while, you can communicate with your teammates, let them run around, let them push enemies and field them towards you and keep them off of a zone. That could be a pretty effective choice now. And I like that there's an option to actually use a different build, so to speak.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you said that, because the group of guys that I usually play with, whenever we head into PvP, I have this buddy who's pretty much a dedicated Titan. And he would always sing the praises of Firekeeper, like, all right, everybody, set up. I've got my super. We get you in this doorway, you in this doorway. I'm going to pop it down. And then he'd stand in his little sunspot and just toss hammers as we kind of herded the enemy team in towards him. And it worked really, really well. And so I'm definitely glad that Firekeeper's getting a plus to the recovery stat. And the change to Cauterize, I think, is going to really probably rock a lot of Titans' worlds. I know whenever I ran around, I ran nothing but Cauterize, because why wouldn't you? It's instant healing on your hammer kills. And the boost up to 3 seconds there, I'm trying to imagine just what that would be like. If you're caught in if you're trying to go gung-ho in your Sunbreaker and you get caught in a room filled with the enemy team, you're probably not going to be able to solo that whole team anymore, considering now your armor's less and you can't instantly heal more than once every 3 seconds. So
yeah, I think it's actually a perfect nerf to that, because the biggest problem with the Titan was that you could just go into a room and 1v5 a team or 1v6 a team.
Yo, bro,
1v5 it was insane. Yeah, it was like, what?
IRL.
What subclass allows you that luxury? And it was because of Cauterize. So now that that's getting nerfed, you actually have to plan that. Like, you can take on 2 people, but 3 people, you're likely to get shotgun sniped on out of your super. So, okay, so with the movement, I think this is across the board. Yes, this is across the board. Catapult lift. Faster initial velocity by +5%.
Maybe the Twilight Garrison makes for a little interesting thing here. So you get that boost plus an extra agility movement, which might make you pick it over controlled. But I mean, it's really tough to give up skating. It's just so good.
That would be my sentiment as well. There's really no reason not to just stick with skating. You're gonna get where you're going faster. So,
agreed. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we talked about the Sunbreaker. Now we got the Striker. You guys cool to move on to the Striker?
Absolutely.
All right, so the melee, Titan melee, obviously 12.5% increased range. And then we got the Storm Fist, increased base damage by 18.2%. It's pretty specific, don't you think?
Right?
Pretty large, I think.
If it takes down the shield, obviously it would take down the shield, and then you have to follow it up with something, then somewhere in between there it makes sense that it would actually be able to take down a considerable amount of health, because it is a Striker Titan. You're supposed to be able to punch really hard. Obviously you shouldn't be able to one-hit kill with it, unlike the Warlocks when they're in the super.
Just all about getting up close, and they're finally letting that dream sort of realize itself, that Titans play in your face. And if you can punch that hard, it's worth it to get up close. It's actually worth it to charge up in their face.
Yeah, it's tough. I guess we're just going to have to see it in effect and then decide from there what 18% really equates to.
Yeah, absolutely, because that's the way the class has been marketed to us. This is the class that's supposed to get into the enemy's face, and the game kind of with Titans punished you a little bit for that. When you had Warlocks and Hunters with general better close range passives and abilities all around. I mean, good lord, who wants to get close to a Stormcaller when they have stuff like feedback and double range melees? I mean, so I'm definitely happy to see Stormfist getting what seems like a pretty huge damage increase at 18.2%. I have no idea what that's going to look like.
Insane. We have Overload that's getting now also provides faster melee recharge plus 50%. So they're essentially cutting the time in half on Overload for the recharge.
Here's a confession.
Do you guys run Overload?
I feel like I know so little about Striker melees because they sort of either, added to your super and I went with that, or I didn't really want to be up close considering the T-Rex arms. I mean, I've played Striker. I played Striker in the beta. I love it, but I just never looked because it didn't totally matter. And a 50% increase, that's a number you can't just ignore. So if it's going to be this strong and you can get up close and have it so frequently, it sounds like Strikers are going to be pretty dangerous.
Yeah. Well, hits with Stormfist have a chance to immediately reset its cooldown. So it's an RNG type of melee where you potentially could have another one immediately on top of what you already have.
I mean, in PvE, I ran Overload because it's pretty good for when you're dealing with trash mobs. Thrall, dregs, low-level stuff like that. In PvP, I pretty much always ran with Discharge, where your melee kind of has an area of effect, little burst to it. It doesn't really do too much, but I found whenever I was in a close-range combat situation with more than one person, I'd get the punch off, get a little bit of damage on both of them, and then try to follow up with a shotgun blast. So seeing Overload get a 50% increase to its recharge rate, that's pretty significant.
That's fast. Cool. All right, so then Discharge is getting an additional 7.69% damage on top of the already 18.2% increase from the base melee when it's charged up. And also the changing the area of effect spherical shape. We don't know exactly what that means, whether it's, it's getting changed. We don't know how it's getting changed, but it is getting adjusted. So, and for anybody that might not know, because like for me, I don't main a Titan, hits with Stormfist deal area of effect damage around the target.
I think I can count on one finger how many times that gave me a kill in the Crucible at least.
Yep.
But in PvE, like you said, punching dregs and stuff like that, I'm wondering if this spherical shape might actually give a nice little Firefly effect. I mean, I don't know if 7% is enough to get you a bunch of more kills, but I mean, it might be something. Could be fun.
Trash mobs, PvE. Getting swarmed, punch.
Absolutely, yeah. Then we have Amplify. Kills with Storm Fist significantly reduce the cooldown of Fist of Havoc. And increased super energy by 30%. That is the buff that it's getting. I don't know how much it initially gives, so I believe it's 30% additional of what it gives already. So I don't know if it's a small amount or generous amount, but if it's a good amount, that could actually be a build to consider.
Yeah, they really want you to get up close, don't they?
Yeah. Good. That's the point of the
They
class.
do, right?
So I'm happy about that. I don't know if I ever really tested the numbers for Amplify to see just how much energy it gives towards the super. So I don't know what they'd be adding that 30% to.
So moving on to the passives, we have Headstrong. Now also provides faster sprint.
I mean, 3 words: Helm of Inmost Light.
Ooh. Yeah, these are starting to really make Striker seem appealing. Shoulder charge, having faster sprint. These things are going to be definitely giving Sunbreakers a run for their money. Yeah, Twilight Garrison aside, I feel like the popular Striker exotic, at least in year 1, was always Armamentarium for those lightning grenades, which are still very awesome. But yeah, the Helm of Inmost Light might see its day with giving everyone sprint.
We have Transfusion is getting improved cooldown from 5 seconds to 3 seconds.
Transfusion, that was...
Kills with Stormfist or Shoulder Charge immediately trigger health regeneration.
Okay, so a faster cooldown on a health regen. I'll always say yes to that.
I agree. And you are right about it becoming more of a, hey, get up in front, use your Stormfist. I think this coupled with the immediate or overload to reset it even quicker could be very interesting.
I'm imagining just rushing into rooms and getting quick aerial shoulder charges, healing up whatever damage you got, and skating away giggling.
Oh boy!
If it works, I'm down with that.
Nothing scarier than a giggling Titan.
That's true. Oh my gosh. Next we have Unstoppable. Now provides a total of +2 armor. +1 additional. So it was +1, now it's +2 armor. And also increased damage resistance, +25% on top of what it was already. So I think we're never going to be able to kill an unstoppable Titan in the middle of Fist of Havoc.
I think you're right. Teft. I think it's going to be impossible to stop once they start their slam. You're just done.
Like maybe 2 Nova Bombs?
I was about to say maybe 2 Nova Bombs and, I don't know, toss in a hammer or 2 just for safe measure. What could kill you when you were popping Fist of Havoc in the first place? I know every time I tried to do something, literally the only counter I could ever think of for that was Nova Bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so.
Previously, was that something that could be countered by a snipe if you just got that really good snipe off while they were popping Fist and had Unstoppable on? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. I feel like a Golden Gun Blast might be able to do it, but I know that they can tank those quite often depending on their armor build. So
you could definitely,
I feel like
definitely tank a gold gunshot in that.
Right, and Titans so rarely run low armor builds, but
right.
So basically, they're gonna be immortal with Unstoppable when they pop their fist.
Pretty much.
Okay, all right, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Which on one end, I think is a good thing. You should be able to spec for basically invincibility during that super because you are a Titan slamming the ground. Like you shouldn't be able to just get whiffed out of the air from one bullet. So it makes sense. It makes sense that they're doing that.
As long as they can still be killed by Nova Bomb, I won't complain.
Okay, then we got Juggernaut. Improved shield health by +14.3% and now works when airborne. After sprinting for a short amount of time, gain a protective shield.
This is just a gift to skating.
It is. It really is. Well, I mean, you'd have to sacrifice shoulder charge, or if you're not wearing the helmet, you'd lose Unstoppable.
As much as they're encouraging strikers to get up close, there's still gonna be passive players and people who won't want to fly in with their fists out and stuff like that. So this kind of gives other players a reason to keep moving backwards and forwards and side to side. And I imagine it might even work if you're trying to escape and you're in 6s where it's chaos and someone wants to get a nice cleanup kill on you, but your shield comes up, or you get that more damage resistance doing anything else. You're gonna finally be able to be a true tank class, which I feel like has never been true yet in Destiny, and that's the dream with the Titan, besides just busting the door down, was to just take all the bullets and survive. And so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, again, I think the fact that it's going to work now when you're airborne, considering how many Titans skate everywhere they go, I think it's going to be a good change.
So we got the final class, the Defender. The lone defender that gets the least amount of love in the Crucible. And again, melee range getting extended. The Super, Ward of Dawn, recharge, grenade, and melee abilities on Super cast. So you immediately get your grenade and your melee when you cast your Super.
I'm just giggling again, a giggling Titan, at the thought of Armamentarium, Mayhem, any Mayhem game mode, suppression grenades. Wee woo, here come the fun police.
Do you think it's going to recharge both charges? Like if you have armor for double grenades, do you think it would actually spawn both of them immediately?
That would be scary.
I'd be scared too.
Don't come near the bubble. Just avoid at all costs.
Yeah, the melee's charged up, and you got a grenade. You just pop the bubble. Stay away.
Being able to immediately get your grenades and your melee abilities back, I mean, that means you can pop your bubble, get armor or Blessing of Light, and then as soon as that runs out, run outside, get a shotgun kill or get a melee kill if you got no backup plans on, and just get your Force Barrier. And boom, you're right back into the heavy defense class that can really just tank almost anything. I like it.
Yeah, ultimate map control, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's it for the Titan changes. Is it next week that they said this was going to drop?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's going to be coming out with the weapon balance update.
Rifle / Mida multi-tool dance.
I've got my marks ready. I'm ready to get my Mida back.
I'm definitely going to do Mida first, but I'm also hoping that somehow I can get enough marks to get the Radiant Dance machines at the same time.
It's a deadly combo. If they do adjust any of those from year one, that'll be really cool.
Just something.
Awesome. Well, that is it for the quick rundown discussion about the Titan changes. Interested to see whether or not the Striker becomes the go-to Titan class again for PvP.
Hey, to balance out Sunbreakers,
we'll take anything.
All right, guys. My name is Tefty Teft with PlanetDestiny. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And you can talk to me at Teft on Twitter for more discussions. I'll let these guys sign off.
Hey, I'm Bones from Crucible Radio. You can listen to me on PlanetDestiny as well. Check me out on Twitter at Bones_CR. Thanks for having me on.
And hey guys, I'm the Black Link. You can find me pretty much everywhere on the internet as the Black Link. I have, as of yet, to find anybody else with that username, so.
Awesome. All right, guys. Talk to you later.